Joining me now is White House Senior Advisor for the COVID response team, Andy Slavitt. Mr. Slavitt, good morning to you. Thanks for being on the show.
Morning. Thanks for having me.
Of course. So let's start with those UK variant cases. Andy, is it now the working assumption that this is going to become the dominant strain in the U.S.?
Well, I think we have to assume, as we do with everything in this virus, that it's got a lot of surprises in store for us along the way. Those surprises have definitely included increasing different strains of the virus. This case, we have a more virulent strain. So I think we should be assuming that the next wave of case growth, to the extent that we have it, is going to be with B.1.1.7. And that's something that I think everybody has to be even more cautious about. And it's nice to see the numbers of cases drop, but it can be misleading.
Well, let's talk about that, because as we said, it is objectively a good thing, right, that the number of cases and hospitalizations has been trending down. It's not just the vaccines, according to experts. It's people doing the right thing with social distancing, masking, et cetera. Yet you have Dr. Michael Osterholm, right, a top infectious disease expert over at the University of Minnesota, who predicted today that the worst 14 weeks of the pandemic are ahead of us. So the next 14 weeks will be the worst that we've seen. In your view, is that an accurate assessment?
Well, I think Mike is giving folks a warning, and I think it's wise to give it a warning. And I think Mike would tell you, as he and I have discussed, that it's not inevitable, but it is inevitable if we don't make sure we're taking care of ourselves and protecting ourselves. It could be quite tough. Now, there is good news. The good news is that particularly for older people, for people over 75, large numbers of them are vaccinated already, and large numbers will be vaccinated. So that's positive. But for the rest of the folks, most people under 75 have not been vaccinated. And for most people who haven't been vaccinated yet, hold on, be very, very careful. This is not the time you want to get COVID, because throughout the course of the spring, that will change the course of this illness. But we've got to get there. We don't want to go through another spike, even if it's a spike the size of when we went through over December and January. Is not something we want to do again, and something our healthcare workers for sure don't want to go through again.
You're obviously bracing for that possibility, though. We do have 14 million Americans that have been fully vaccinated, right? But there are still a lot of questions, even for them, about, can you get it again? Can you transmit it, even if you have been vaccinated? What is the data showing you on that?
Well, obviously, we've just started, but the data is really great in a couple of regards. First of all, the data is showing that the vaccine is incredibly safe. I mean, the fractional numbers of people getting any kind of allergic reaction, and those reactions have proven to be temporary. So that's the good news. The better news is that there are very few cases of anybody who has gotten the vaccine getting COVID. So as we look today, the best place to look is in long-term care facilities, skilled nursing centers, the assisted living facilities with large numbers of vaccines, and those places are doing well. I think later on today or tomorrow, we will be able to report that every state has given one vaccine shot to at least 1 in 10 people in their state. That is an incredible amount of progress in the last 3.5 weeks from where we were. So we keep that up and we can increase that pace over the next few weeks. Soon we'll be looking at large percentages of people that have been vaccinated. So my urging is for people to continue to follow the guidelines, wear masks, listen to the CDC, because we get these vaccinations up over the course of the spring, it'll change the course of this pandemic.
So given this then, is the worst behind us, or is it still ahead of us?
Boy, wouldn't we all like to know that, Allie? I mean, that is, unfortunately, we can't predict the future. And we know that this virus has been nothing but full of surprises for us since it's come, and I think there are more surprises to come. Ultimately, science will win here. Ultimately, we will beat this, but I don't think we are anywhere close out of the woods. I don't expect that we are going to be seeing just smooth sailing from here. But I think we are inside of this year and with the months that are coming, I think things could look very, very different. But we're not there yet, and it would be such a shame to take our foot off the gas too early.
There's been this discussion, as I know you know well, about kids, schools, reopening schools, vaccines, et cetera. So let me get you on that. Dr. Anthony Fauci, I believe, predicted that we could have vaccines available for kids as young as the age of 6, possibly by September. Does that track with what you are seeing? How realistic is that?
Well, first of all, I think the CDC came out with guidelines, long-awaited guidelines, very thoughtful guidelines on how to open up schools again. Because we know that they can be open safely, but the precautions have to be taken, and I'd encourage educators to make sure that they see that. What Dr. Fauci is pointing out is that typically the process from here is that we will begin to test the vaccines out on younger cohorts of people. That's already begun, and it'll go down, first to 12, above age 12, then it'll go down to above age 8, and then above age 6. I think he's giving an estimate of how long those trials take. And I think he is fairly confident that those trials are going to be deemed to be safe and effective for kids. And I think he's hopeful that we can see that begin to develop over the course of the fall. So I'm hopeful as well.
Hey, thanks for watching our YouTube channel. You should know that you can follow today's top stories and breaking news and catch up on your favorite MSNBC shows all in one place. Download the NBC News app today.